Japan's action in the Mukden incident was the first significant challenge by a major power to the new international system that had been set up in Europe after the First World War. This international system centered around the concept of collective security, that states would take joint action to deal with aggression. To facilitate such action, the League of Nations, a body where all states could be represented, was established in 1919. In addition, various treaties such as the Washington Conference System, the Nine-Power Treaty, and the Kellogg-Briand Pact reinforced the idea of peaceful international cooperation. The League of Nations consisted of the Assembly of the League and the Council of the League. The Assembly was made up of representatives of all member states. It met yearly, and each state had one vote. The Council consisted of the major powers, Britain, France, Italy, and Japan, plus 4 other members elected by the Assembly. The Council made most of the key decisions. In particular, it was the body that could take action against a member of the League who resorted to war. The Covenant of the League of Nations was the document which set out how the League was to achieve its aims of promoting international cooperation and maintaining international peace and security. Following the Mukden incident, China appealed to the League of Nations. This was an example of one member state attacking another. China hoped to invoke the principle of a collective security and thus get action taken against Japan, as set out in Article 16 of the Covenant. However, the League acted cautiously. It held several meetings to discuss what action should be taken. These meetings were attended by the Japanese government in China and the United States, who, although not a member of the League, was invited to send representatives to the Council. While the Japanese government seemed to be cooperating with the League, the army continued to expand its influence over Manchuria in defiance of the request from the League that Japanese troops should withdraw to the railway zone. The League then decided to send a fact-finding commission led by Lord Linton to Manchuria. This commission took several months to arrive in Manchuria and then several months to complete its report on the situation. During this time, the Kwantung Army was able to continue expanding throughout Manchuria. In March 1932, Manchuria was declared the state of Manchukuo, a puppet state under the control of Japan, with China's last emperor, Puyi, as its ruler. The Japanese claimed that the Manchurians were now free from Chinese domination. 1 year after the Mukden incident, the Linton Commission's report was published. It stated the following: Japan did in fact have special interest in Manchuria, but the use of force by the army and its takeover of the whole of Manchuria was unacceptable and unjustified. Japan should give up the territory and withdraw its forces. Manchukuo was not an independent state and could not be recognized as such. Manchuria should become independent, but under Chinese sovereignty. The Commission stressed that the problem of Manchuria could only be solved by a general improvement of Chinese and Japanese relations. It recommended that, following Japan's withdrawal of troops back to the railway zone, the two countries should negotiate a non-aggression pact and a trade agreement. Such recommendations ignored the fact that Japan wanted Manchuria and was not prepared to compromise. Japan declared that the League's members were hypocritical in their attitude towards Japanese actions in China. After all, had not the British and French established their enclaves there by force? Japan did not accept the report and withdrew from the League in protest in March 1933. Why was no further action taken against Japan? France, as one of the key members of the League, felt that it had no reason to fall out with Japan. As the colonial power in Indochina, it also had much to gain from a weakened China. Britain was also cautious in its response. Although there were some in the ruling Conservative Party who believed that the principle of collective security should be upheld, it was unwilling to act when its own interests were not at stake. In any case, it lacked the military means to resist Japan. In addition, both countries were suffering from economic effects of the Great Depression, which made them hesitant to spend resources on either economic or military actions. Moreover, the fear of communism in both countries meant that Japan was viewed as an ally in containing communist Russia in the Far East. The failure of the League to respond to the Manchurian incident meant that Japan was able to continue with its expansion. It may have also contributed to Mussolini's decision to invade Abyssinia in 1935.